Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the one and only 411 Podcast Network.
We are all heartbroken about the Milwaukee Bucks loss in Game 5. Devastating, but we're all back. I am Justin Watry. And
soldiering on.
We are soldiering on, and Mr. Steve Madsen, say hello.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here. Happy to be alive.
We all are. I would hope so. And Miss Holli, say hello.
Hello.
All right, we're going to kind of jump right into things. It's kind of a quick and easy podcast today. We're going to talk about Money in the Bank, obviously, from last Sunday. So let's start with the Usos. The Usos, I think one of us predicted the Usos would win Sunday.
One of us three, absolutely. None of us really foresaw that going the way it went, but one of us seemed to have a better grasp on things.
There was not a lot of foresight into that one because apparently it was a non-title match against Daniel Bryan and Rowan. So, yeah. So the Usos won. Steve, what did you think?
Well, number one, I love the Usos, so it was awesome to see him win. I just didn't see that happening. I thought it was supposed to be a title. Didn't they say it was a title match? I mean,
I don't know if they even said it. So.
I thought it was the weirdest thing that, and then conversely, the tag team champions got beat. Like, aren't they supposed to be the all-powerful?
Yeah, and I'm still waiting on the title design to change.
Right? I mean, are we just not doing that? Did he just?
And I forgot what show it was. They came out and didn't even have the titles with them. What show was that? I remember that.
Yeah, I saw. It was a Raw show.
Was it Raw?
Yeah, it was like they were doing the tag six-man or something like that. Yeah, no titles.
Yeah, and you always bring your title.
Well, I mean, Kenny Omega didn't bring his heavyweight to All In.
Oh boy!
But that could have been a licensing.
No, that's true too. Little issue there, but we'll talk about that later with Mr. Kenny Omega. Holly, what'd you think? The Usos from Raw. I'm pretty sure they're still Raw.
Usos Raw. Well, I mean,
wild card.
I think everybody's from everywhere, and
right.
It's just parts unknown.
So Holly, your Usos won non-title. Do you think they should?
Your Usos. You hear that? You are taking ownership.
Do you think they should get a title match?
I was the one that picked the Usos to beat Daniel Bryan and
So
Rowan.
if they have a title match, would you pick them again?
Absolutely.
You thought there was a title match anyways and picked them.
Right? I mean,
exactly.
If it's a title match, then
sure.
Why are they on Raw?
Then would that mean they're back on SmackDown?
Right?
SmackDown?
Where are we going with this?
Well,
where is anything going with this?
Does it really matter because the women's tag team titles are on both shows?
But they came out from the get-go and said they were going to do that.
And those are cross-branded. There are a Raw tag titles and a SmackDown tag titles. There's not a women's Raw and a women's SmackDown.
Right.
So the women's is everywhere.
When they brought the women's out, they said, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this, and then they took it from...
But then is there a Raw men's SmackDown then?
Tag titles, yes. There's a Raw tag title.
You remember Zack Ryder and
Kurt Hawkins? That red belt, and then you got the blue belt.
War Viking Experience Raiders War something
or other.
They should beat
the
them.
Vikings. I just call them the Vikings.
Wait, are they still the champions?
NXT or
no,
Raw?
The Raw tag champions.
I think it's still Ryder and
Ryder
Hawkins. I thought War Raiders would have beat them by now. Or is it Viking Raiders?
Hooper.
I thought it was the Viking Raiders.
Berserkers.
The Berserkers. Yeah. Let's just go with that because at least we know who we're talking about.
All right.
The Vikings.
Well, I still think both tag scenes. Honestly, whether they do combine them at this point, I think they're both kind of a mess right now.
They're incredibly a mess. There's
but I will say,
rhyme or reason.
Yeah, at least the which by the way, then the Usos didn't they then lose to the Revival on Raw? So then it's like, well, then they're not getting a tag title. Yeah, the tag scene for me has been a mess for a while, so not a lot there. But luckily, we got back on track with the actual main show, which I was happy with. I talked about it last week. I wanted them to start with a Money in the Bank ladder match, so the briefcase would be out there. So it ended up being Bayley as the women's briefcase winner. Steve?
Didn't we pick that one?
Yeah,
I think you and I were on that one. Were you
all
with
three
us?
of us picked it.
I think it was the right
Justin's
call.
the detractor.
Oh boy!
Usually, when it comes down to me and him making picks, he and I usually disagree many a time.
No, we had the same.
That was a consensus
for both. Ladder
I was.
matches.
That's right, because we were all on the McIntyre thing.
Yeah, I was hoping Ember Moon. I was just honestly thinking a SmackDown for women's and then Raw for men's, which technically happened.
It did happen, just not your.
What did you think of the opening match?
Thought it was great. They killed it. Those women, they know how to bring it. I mean, they can save a show now. It's funny because what was it, as little as 5 years ago or 10 years ago, the women were seen as the bathroom break match. That's when you go get your popcorn. That's when you go, do the stuff you got to do before you go watch the real show.
Yeah.
Or in between, or the cool off, or whatever it was. But now it's the women that's actually carrying this barn fire of a product.
Yeah, they're being trusted in big spots, which they never have.
Sorry, did I?
Good way to put it, I guess. But
just a little
bitter,
a little bitter about booking, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in the main event. But Miss Holli, I know I was rooting for Ember Moon over Bayley, but Bayley makes the most sense with her history with Charlotte and Becky, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad Nikki Cross was at least in there and got some time to shine.
She got a lot of time. That was really good.
I'm glad the Mandy Rose Sonya Deville thing actually kind of went somewhere with Sonya actually proving she was a good friend.
Yep.
She wasn't bitter or going to turn.
Trying to carry her up the ladder.
That was
pretty
up.
Awesome.
And then I like Bayley getting up there and just staring her down and saying, "Not today."
That was good. That was really good.
Carmella did her little, I don't know what that was, knee thing and left and came back. Was it to put over her resilience? Was she actually hurt? I don't think she was.
I've heard that it's that she was seen limping around.
Yeah, my thing is,
but why would you come back out for nothing? Really,
well,
I mean,
the whole thing with me was I was going to wait till SmackDown, and then they didn't mention it or she did nothing. She was running around with R-Truth. So
yeah, so maybe she just tweaked it, or I don't know. She looked legit mad.
Yeah, which
when she was pushing Mandy
maybe
Rose
just
off
her acting ability or something. But Dana Brooke, she got her chance in there. We mentioned Mandy Rose, Natalya, and Naomi. I mean, they look good, but I don't think they really did much in the match.
Yeah, they didn't really shine, quote unquote. They were there kind of for filler. And
no, I like Nikki Cross probably more than anybody in there. I thought did a great job. But Bayley won. Congrats to her, correct?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was really good.
Well earned, and something I wrote in my 411mania.com column, cheap plug, that, Bayley she was the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions with Sasha Banks, but
right.
Before that, hadn't been doing a whole heck of a lot. And
she did have a world title under her.
Yeah, she started out fine and everything, but that was back in 2017 at Mania. And I think this kind of just shows, I wrote about this, but, in the snap of a finger, anything can happen, and Bayley can go from doing nothing to suddenly she's on top of the world.
She's on top of the world.
And an hour later, the crowd's chanting her name, and she's the biggest face in the whole world.
Right.
So, I mean, it goes back to Jinder Mahal losing to Mojo Rawley 1 week, a month later, WWE champion. So you can snap your fingers, and anything can happen. So,
and it usually will.
And it usually will, which we will get to in the main event. Oh, boy. No cactus fighting. All right, so Rey Mysterio is your new United States champion over Samoa Joe in 1:40.
Yeah, I was about to say, that was a short one, too, and that senton looked, ouch, man.
That was a short one, and no pun there. So I will say that, yet again, a pay-per-view match gets cut short because of the health.
I mean, did you see his nose, though?
I think under his eye. Wasn't it under his eye, too?
Well, but his nose was definitely visibly off to the side a little bit, but he definitely had some blood coming from under his eye, too. That sucks that it goes down like that. I mean, they have the potential to put on this great match, and they tease us with it for about a minute, and then somebody gets hurt or has gotten hurt, and they got to cut it. And
yeah, that was just super weird. I had Mysterio winning the title, but
You did, that's right.
I'm not sure like that, and unfortunately, whether it was planned or not, Joe's shoulders were up.
That's true. What was with that, too?
Yeah.
Like that.
The referee also stopped the rope break during the cage match, which we'll talk about that. And then also with Lacey Evans had Becky Lynch pinned for about 10 seconds, and the ref just didn't count, and then Becky reversed it into her armbar, but I guess we'll get to that. Miss Holli, do you see Mysterio and Joe continuing with Dominic getting involved?
Yes.
Okay, I think I think it will continue, but now apparently Mysterio's hurt again.
Yeah, what was separated shoulder or something like that. But yeah, they're definitely got to continue on at some point. I guess this could be a good point for Dominic to come in and make his
get choked out,
get beat down, get another broken nose.
Yeah, I was getting excited.
Start wearing away at his knees, just like his dad.
Oh boy!
Do you think he's gonna do the 619?
I think Cesaro does it better than
the Swiss 1-9.
Yeah, I was getting excited a few weeks ago when Joe they showed the camera like him walking behind Dominic.
Right.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah, he ran behind him and gave Mysterio a message.
Yeah, and then it was just him talking to him, Dominic standing there like an idiot, and then it ended, and I was just like, oh man, I thought he was just gonna like destroy him.
Yeah, they don't want to give the he didn't want to have him beating kids down.
Maybe that can wait for how old is he?
I think he's like 21, but he looks like a tiny little baby.
I was going to say, is he still 12? I think.
Right? I mean, he looks like 12, just taller.
If he's over age, then they got to do something there.
I mean, Eddie's still, flaunting custody, and there's still that question of whose kid is he really.
Still doing that? Maybe Joe will bring that up. And
Maybe.
He'll yell Wendy
Remember
again.
that? Yeah. He'll bring up that contract that they fought for at whatever pay-per-view and be like, I got it now.
SummerSlam 2005.
Yeah. That was a rough one.
I still remember. I love that pay-per-view.
It was great.
Hogan Michaels as the main event.
Yep.
And actually, I believe it was one of the top 5 non-WrestleMania biggest buy rates of all time.
Oh, wow.
So people were excited for Michaels being the little heel there for a month or two. And Hogan obviously always brought it, especially in the ring, I thought. So anyways, we can discuss that another time. Up next was, I thought he brought it, I was saying in terms of pay-per-view buys.
Okay, all right. That makes
in
sense.
The ring,
I was going to say, in the ring?
Unless Michaels
really?
is flying around, not so much in the ring. But he does what he needs to do.
Michael's back almost broke again from carrying Hogan. What can I say, man?
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Shots are coming out. So up next is everyone's favorite feud. Shane McMahon, once again...
Good Lord.
Defeated The Miz once again. So my little stat of him never winning one-on-one pay-per-view matches is no longer alive after Mania. Now this one too, but inside the steel cage, it was another cheap victory. Shane, he was going to get superplexed, which I thought was a nice shout-out actually to how the Mania match ended.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool on top of the cage. And then Shane slipped through and somehow won while he was laying there. What do you think?
Yeah, this started the downhill to my night as I was watching. I think I actually went up and made some food or did something else during the Miz Shane match. Just caught the end of it there, and I was like, really? Oh, I was also having network issues too all night long. Like I was texting you about it. I couldn't get it to fire up, and so I had to watch it on my phone for a majority of the evening, and then I got it to go on my TV, but I kept the phone thing up just in case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as much as
thanks,
obviously
WWE Network.
Yeah, thanks Network. As much as that sucks, I will say that that's I guess almost one of the good things is you can then bring it on your phone.
Yeah, that's
it's a nice
true.
backup, but obviously nobody would want to, do that full time. Miss Holli, Shane McMahon once again. Why is he beating the Miz? And I was afraid when Miz went to Raw, he'd do nothing but losing, and he's still doing nothing but losing. Why is he losing to Shane?
Why, Holly? Why?
Tell us, Holly.
Tell us.
I don't know. Shane just thinks he's the best in the world, so he gets away with it because he's the boss's kid.
Wow, good way to put it.
I mean,
I think so, but
privileged.
Yeah, right?
Obviously, as we later found out, Shane probably won, and it's kind of sort of moving on from Miz, but I guess Miz isn't moving on.
No.
Shane is being kept strong because he's facing Roman Reigns now at Super Showdown.
Yeah.
And we had kind of talked about that. Elias and wasn't really going to do much with Roman, but Shane, they can use the value and all that. So I'm guessing that's why he's winning.
Shane was brought in, to cover up for Cena being injured or whatever back for that Undertaker WrestleMania match.
Yes, he was.
Are we done? I mean, we have a fat roster as it is.
3 years.
It's been 3 years. The roster is over bloated to the point that people want to leave. And we're still giving time to Shane McMahon. Like, there are so many other viable matches that could be had. Why always go back to Shane McMahon? Because
he's the boss's son, so the boss gives his kids that time.
I get it, but I can't see it being a draw.
No, Shane had been good about that, coming in for a few matches a year.
Right.
He had been good about that, so I'm not sure why. I almost want to think it's because Fox probably wants the McMahon drama. But I would hope not. I think Shane now has been on every single pay-per-view this year. I don't know if that's true or not, but he probably has been. I mean, I'm the biggest Shane fan probably here or anywhere that you'll find online, and even I'm kind of like, all right, he should not be having matches every single month. That takes away the special attraction.
Exactly. He's not an attraction anymore.
Shane or Vince getting in the ring, once a year for a street fight or something, that's great. It's awesome. Right. But no, not every month, and especially winning. I mean, I hope now Reigns beats him and sends him packing, but I'm guessing that's not going to happen.
Highly doubt it. They're going to probably drag this out all the way to Fox.
I hope, yeah, I'm thinking that, but I was going to say SummerSlam, but then Shane won Best in the World. He won the tournament, remember, last time in Saudi Arabia, Crown Jewel. So
I didn't watch.
No, yeah, I'm kind of done with the Shane thing, but, I get it. They want, if Miz had just beaten Shane, then Shane Roman would mean less, but I guess that goes back to the Roman thing. So up next is Tony Nese. He retained his Cruiserweight Championship over Daivari. Anybody have any thoughts whatsoever on this?
I mean, it was a good match. I wasn't all that familiar. I mean, I've seen Tony Nese from the Cruiserweight Classic and all that, but other than that, like Ari Daivari never really impressed me. So
No.
I don't know. It was a decent match, I guess, but there was nothing like wow about it really.
No, there was nothing, and this actually got on the main pay-per-view. Usually, it's
right.
kickoff.
I was surprised about that.
And yeah, that's a little tidbit. I'm not sure if it got reported yet, but apparently, I won't say who, but one of the two did not have a good performance, and that was not lost on some people.
Oh.
Yeah. So, no comment there. Miss Holly, do you have anything to add?
Wow.
You can't shake your head. You're on audio. You
Yeah,
need to say
can't.
something.
They can't see.
Can it just be blank and just say no?
Yes, it can, because actually during my column, again, cheap plug 411 Mania, I didn't even say anything about this match. I literally posted it and moved on. So,
Wow.
Speaking of moving on, now let's get to some actual discussion. 3 straight matches in a row here with Becky Lynch. With the women. Becky Lynch first defeated Lacey Evans 8 minutes to retain the Raw title. We thought she'd retain. What'd you think of the match?
I thought it was a good match. I like the storytelling. Becky Lynch is awesome, of course. Thought Lacey Evans looked real strong, as a future, heel as she's going to be, and definitely probably set up another couple of, main spots for her and whatnot. And then, I thought it was really good that Becky retained. We all thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, I like the word you used there. I like the word you used with Lacey Evans by saying future. I think, the time will come, but right now I'm not sure it really makes sense, especially with Becky, as we've been talking about. We'll probably, if she hasn't already, officially move to Raw full time and just kind of keep her there. Forget the wild card rule, whatever. She's going to be back on Raw. That's going to be her spot.
Yeah, I think with what happened later in the evening, I think that kind of solidified where Becky's going.
That needed to happen, and I'm glad Lacey lost, because this is like John Cena in 2003, where he had a lot of big matches but lost every single one of them, and it didn't hurt him at all. It's just somebody getting a shot early. Miss Holly, what did you think of Becky over Lacey keeping the Raw title?
I'm glad that she won, and now she can stay on Raw with Seth Rollins.
Oh boy!
Aww.
All right, back to the women's scene at Money in the Bank.
If the locker room be a knocking, don't come a knocking.
Yeah, I wouldn't interrupt that. Anyways, then Charlotte came out.
Well, of course she did. I mean,
the announcers were talking about how Becky had the match later.
Right.
So then here comes Charlotte strutting. She was smiling, and
yeah, she had that eating grin all over. She was walking out there, and you knew exactly what was going on. Of course she's going to come out there. Becky's beat down. It's the closest thing to a Money in the Bank that she's going to get.
Yep. Charlotte was definitely getting ready back there as Becky was in the ring. And Becky, kind of a little full of herself sometimes. And she's like, all right, I'll do it right now, and got in there.
But kudos to her for doing it, too. She could have, walked away and looked, storyline.
Yeah, I think Corey Graves even said that the matches later, she had the right to walk away.
Right, yep.
But, Charlotte goaded her in, which, their rivalry and stuff.
And that plays into Becky's character, she's headstrong.
Becky 2 belts.
Yep.
And
well, not anymore.
No, because 6 minutes later, thanks to a woman's right from Lacey Evans, Charlotte defeated Becky Lynch.
It was nice that there's that little asterisk, too, because it still keeps Becky strong.
Keeps her strong. Charlotte gets, I believe, her 9th championship.
9th championship.
Is
that a record, or is she tied?
I don't know what Trish is at, but I would.
I think Trish is. That would be the one that she beats for the record. I think she was at 9.
Yeah, well, if it's tied or not, it's going to be shattered in a year, a month, or 2 or 3 months.
Or tomorrow.
The old joke used to be that the person that was going to beat Ric Flair's 16 titles wasn't John Cena. It was going to be Charlotte Flair.
Ooh.
So she's already at 9, and it's been, 4 or 5 years?
I mean, that would be a good story, down the line.
Yeah, that would be a good story because I don't know if Cena really even wants it or cares for
it. I think Cena's out of the title picture.
I know Triple H and Orton basically respect Flair too much to pass him.
Right.
They're not gonna.
Right.
And Cena, I mean, doesn't it feel a little weird he's tied, though?
Because every time he comes out, if the title is somewhere around, you're like, could he?
Yeah.
But I think, and maybe with the recent health things, they might preserve that and leave that for
I'm
Nate.
Still not completely.
Woo.
I'm not sure if he. I don't know. Part of me thinks he will break it at some point. Almost like The Rock coming back years later and winning the title.
Maybe one. Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, something tells me.
One-off thing.
And if Fox, again, I know we talk about Fox a lot, but if Fox says, hey, we want Cena to be on and as champion, even for a month, whatever during, football playoffs or
Talk to Hollywood.
Get them to clear it. So Charlotte won the title, beat down Becky, Lacey Evans joined in, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows what happened. Bayley came out, crowd went nuts, even the score, and then she stared at the briefcase.
And there's always that will she, won't she anticipation that you hate so much, but you hope goes on forever.
Yes, that little moment always. And goody two-shoes Bayley. It's
as soon as she smacked that briefcase, I was like, all right, it's on. It's on. Here we go.
Yelling right now.
Yep.
And went top rope, elbow 20 seconds later. Bayley.
Kudos to the Macho Man.
Macho Man there. Shout out. And new Bayley.
Champion. Nicely done. I think it was well done. I think that in Bayley winning, I think that kind of, if nothing else, puts the Charlotte-Becky thing off to the side for a minute or two.
Finally.
So now Becky can go back to Raw and be like, all right, you hit me, you cost me my SmackDown title, Lacey. We're going to go at this one more time.
Yeah, I liked it. I wrote about this in my column again, another cheap plug. That's 3 plugs in a row. But I wrote about it. It's kind of a complicated situation. They had the Money in the Bank briefcase. They had to keep Lacey strong. They had to continue the Becky thing on Raw. They had to give Charlotte something to do. They had like 4 or 5 things here, and I think they accomplished all of them. Now Becky can go feud. Lacey Evans has her deal going because she had the pin on Becky, but the ref didn't count for whatever reason. And then they can continue that. Charlotte needed something to do. I know Charlotte gets a lot of hate, but she can't do nothing. She's obviously a big star.
She's all the way up there.
Yeah, so she had to do something. She had to get the title. SmackDown had to get the title. They had the briefcase to use. Bayley needed to be reheated up. We use about that again. I like the word you use. I think you said it last week. She needed an edge to her.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they accomplished all of that in like 10 minutes, so it was perfect.
Yeah, it was nice, compact storytelling. I think it was done well. And again, it just proves that the best thing going on WWE overall right now is the women, and they carry the show 100%.
I agree with that, definitely.
Make up for that lackluster garbage that comes up later.
Oh, we're almost there. Miss Holli, Bayley. Garbage. I believe she was your number 1 of your 400 picks you had last. What did you think of Bayley as the new SmackDown Women's Champion?
Well, I definitely think that a change needed to come instead of it being always Charlotte and Becky or...
Yeah, Lacey.
Absolutely. Yep.
So you're kind of into the whole Sasha Banks thing. Do you think this had anything to do with Sasha Banks being gone? That now, hey, Bayley, forget the tag team. She's the women's champ.
Yeah, I think that once Bayley left, or
Sasha
left, it made Bayley a little more like, okay, I'm going to SmackDown. Now I can venture off instead of being in the shadow of Sasha, because Sasha was so high up in there that Bayley needed her own light.
Mama needs to get paid.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Mama needs a new pair of shoes.
Mama needs a job.
Yeah, I'm glad Bayley's a champion. We'll get to this a little bit, but I always like the idea of a briefcase being out there, but it seems like both are going to be used already.
Second time in a row.
Women did it. Yeah,
women
Alexa
did it 2 years right away.
That was definitely surprising, but I think it was the right move. We had talked about this. Bayley needed something to show on SmackDown now that she's on her own.
Absolutely.
So they tied up all the loose ends. Everything's great now. I like it. Do you think we are now going to get a Raw Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley versus Becky?
No, I think they're going to keep them separated for a while. They're going to play up the brand split in the Survivor Series for at least another year, as long as Fox is in the picture.
Yeah, can you imagine if Becky's still the champ at Survivor Series and Charlotte's a SmackDown, and then those two face again?
Again?
Yeah, that's a little much for them. But I do think that it's gonna be Bayley and Becky, if anything, if it comes down to
that would be pretty killer.
I did see the website tease Becky versus Bayley because they tagged up, and then they kind of did the little stare down moment with the titles, and I noticed Becky, whether it was accidental or not, had grabbed both titles again.
Oh,
still thinking she's Becky 2
right,
belts.
right.
So whether that was a little tease or just Becky accidentally being like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Whoops, I lost."
And now Bayley's also the first Grand Slam woman because she's held it all.
Yeah, I don't think the Iconics are going to win any single gold for a while. They're still losing non-title match to Kabuki or
Experience Warrior thing.
Whatever
they're called.
Something.
Asuka. I don't know how to. Yeah, Asuka and Zairi Kane. I don't know how to pronounce their names. I'm trying.
Kairi Sane.
I like Zairi Kane, the mayor of Knox County. All right, we're going to move on from that in a hurry. Right. So, up next, Roman Reigns was shown back in the backstage area walking to the ring. Elias attacked him with a guitar.
Whacked with a guitar.
Came out, sang his little thing.
Every time Elias does that, my heart breaks. It's that poor guitar, man. That poor guitar.
Hey,
I wonder how expensive that gets after a while.
Right? Well, because I'll bet you that they probably get a deal, because it does say Fender on there. So, Fender's getting a little bit of advertisement. So I'll bet you they got something worked out.
Hey, as long as it wasn't the WWF guitar from
that
Rock.
would be so sad.
Oh,
Do you remember though, like how taboo and like horrible is it to burn books? It's the same thing for guitars. You can't do that.
Sacrilege.
Man.
It's like
sacrilege. It's horrible. You're going to hell.
Oh, wow.
That's where he's going.
Poor Elias.
Well,
he pretty much did because Roman Reigns came out and beat him in 10 seconds.
Took him down.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
I'm not.
Hey, but we got a whole song out of him.
Hey, he finally sang.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Nobody interrupted him.
Yeah. That's what he has to do. And he played an electric, which was impressive.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Very similar.
I don't think any of us necessarily were like looking forward to a full Roman Reigns versus Elias match, so I'm glad they did this.
Yeah, I think it was well done. I think it suits where Roman is too, because like he still has a major spot on the card and he's a big draw, but he doesn't have to be in the title picture. So I think that works out.
Yeah,
well for
and quick pop quiz. Speaking of not being in the title picture, do you remember what Roman Reigns did at last year's Money in the Bank?
No.
He fought Jinder Mahal.
Oh my, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the Chicago crowd loved that. So we're gonna move on to maybe match of the night or maybe match of the year. Seth Rollins defeated AJ Styles to keep the Universal Championship.
Killer match. Those guys. I had high expectations for that one, and they met every single one of them. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's unfair to have high expectations, but I think in some cases, these two should have delivered a classic.
Right. That they have the history. They both have the experience, the moveset, the skill set. You could see the blending of the styles. It was just no pun intended. It was just a match that had star quality written all over it, and I think they delivered.
Yeah, and I like that the Bayley cash-in happened, and then the Roman Reigns was pretty much the breather for the crowd.
Right.
And then, boom, came right back. So we talked about like a bathroom break kind of thing. That kind of then got everyone ready. And I think the crowd, I think it was Hartford, Connecticut, they were more than ready for Rollins and Styles. They didn't let up. They didn't, relax or get quiet or anything.
Yeah.
They were ready for the match, and they delivered, and then the fans were with them 100%. Miss Holli, I know you suddenly have a crush on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch being a couple. I know you love them. So what do you think of Rollins still Universal Champ?
I'm glad that he won, and I definitely agree. That was one of the better matches of the night because they kind of meshed very well, and I loved the way that AJ Styles was very,
respectful,
cordial at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
and even the next night he didn't deny. He said, "Yeah, I lost."
Yep.
But he said, I know I can beat him, and next time I will. So that plants little
sets it up for another one. I like that reverse Falcon Arrow that Seth planted when he came off the top. I thought that was really cool, blending of the moves.
That's one of the moves I always kind of hold my breath on, honestly. I think Devon kind of did it, but a little variation of it. He always used to do that, so that's one of those moves. It's just the whole thing with the neck always kind of gets me.
Anything neck style. And then, you get the styles clash, and if,
They had a lot of cool reversals.
Yeah.
I would say probably match of the night, as great as the 2 ladder matches were. But again, we'll get to that main event in a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to say a downturn, but up next, Kofi Kingston defeated Kevin Owens to remain WWE champion. Steve.
Again, I thought it was a great match. I like those two. I thought they put on another. I mean, I think the crowd might have been a little burned out from Styles and Rollins doing their thing, but it was good to see Kofi retain. I think he's definitely earned to have that for a little while.
I think Seth Rollins' burn it down phrase was a little too literal with the crowd because
right.
They were burned.
Yeah.
And, that was one of my points I was going to make. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think I don't want to blame the placement of the card, but I don't know how many people really bought into the Owens actually winning the title. I know Miss Holli picked him.
Right.
She immediately regretted that. She told me.
Yes. I was like halfway through the match. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, it never felt like it. Big E was going to be back soon, so there was too much going on with that. Owens honestly never really stood a chance. And even on SmackDown, we saw the follow-up where he just kind of walked off the stage, but I guess that's because he won't be at the next pay-per-view. But, it just never really felt – I don't want to say it didn't feel like a WWE Championship match, but – I'm going to put a little pin on this match, maybe to something to watch for with Kofi with the title. So we can kind of discuss that at a later date, but I'm not totally lost on the crowd not being there for this match. But they were there for the next match, the main event.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Holli first.
Yeah.
So I think Mr.
that.
Steve has a rant ready.
Oh.
But after everyone busts their butt, everyone does amazing moves. Poor Finn Balor. Ricochet,
God, dude,
being awesome.
How many times can you bounce a Finn Balor off of a ladder?
Yeah,
just curious.
The Andrade Sunset Powerbomb.
Oh my God! Just every time he got up, he got slammed back down through a ladder.
Yeah, I think even the ladder was like sideways at one point,
and
he slammed him on the side of the ladder.
And then Ricochet breaking a ladder.
Yeah.
Drew threw him through a ladder.
Right through it. Jesus.
So after everything, and I thought Ali did amazing, who I keep kind of defending and pumping up, that there's something there with him.
That dude is awesome. I'll give you that. That guy has an amazing skill set.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about before him getting basically replaced before Mania. He got the call-up from 205 Live. It turned into a one-night deal, turned into full-time. And everything like that happened, and he's still going out there. He's still delivering. I don't care if his first name is gone. I don't care about that kind of stuff. That's just
the
worthless
man makes
stuff.
the name.
It's the man. Who cares? It's the talent in the ring. Who cares if it's Mustafa Ali or Ali? But whatever. Long story short, Ali was about to grab the briefcase.
Was about to.
Until we found out who attacked Sami Zayn backstage to take his spot. It wasn't Braun. Nope. It was Brock Lesnar. And before destroying a cameraman and Ali's face, Brock Lesnar climbed up the ladder very slowly and is your new Mr. Money in the Bank. Steve, I'll give you a few more seconds. Miss Holli, I was certainly surprised. I know you were there watching me with it. I was shocked. I was surprised. I love being surprised. I love being shocked as much as it's great to kind of predict things or know things in advance.
Oh, really now?
It was excellent to be surprised. So, Miss Holli.
She's going to keep that in mind. Well, you like being surprised.
No,
yeah.
Remember Brock Lesnar?
No, it's because she likes trying to plan surprises for me, and I'm like, don't do it.
Do it.
That's why. I was talking about the show, not that. So don't get any ideas.
Oh, really
but
now?
Brock Lesnar, Mr. Money in the Bank. What do you think?
Well, he was definitely a shock to me as well, because
he wasn't in the match?
No, like, he just kind of, like, threw us all for a loop, and we kind of all know who he's going after.
Yeah, I mean, it was confirmed later in the week.
But we kind of knew it from the start that he was going straight for Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Kofi's now tied up doing his thing with the awesome Dolph Ziggler return. I love that, but I don't know if we're going to discuss that, but I loved it. But those two now are locked up because, honestly, so many people are leaving for Super Showdown that he kind of needed something to do. So Rollins is now wide open, and Brock said he'll decide next week on Raw. I feel that might be another tease, but that'd kind of suck if both briefcases are gone. But I'm rambling here, so Steve, I'm just kind of going to give you the floor here. I know you love Brock Lesnar, so go ahead and state your piece.
Screw Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
I can't stand him. That every time he is on TV, it's like a slap in the face. When they gave him the title after Roman went down with leukemia, that was like a slap in the face. The whole Brock Lesnar, because ratings are low, we got to get Brock Lesnar. Screw Brock Lesnar. I did not watch any WWE programming whatsoever this past week. I am razor thin about to cancel my network subscription. I'm just done. It aggravated me so much that I actually went downstairs on Monday and would have much rather played my guitar and watch Office reruns than to worry about Brock Lesnar and his stupid briefcase. I'm done. And I have no desire to sit and watch that part-time, doesn't give a crap about anybody but himself type of talent, if you can even call it that. And just, he's going to come in, he's going to have the exact same match that he always has. A bunch of suplexes, throw a dude around, and pin him. And I'm a big bad monster because I keep getting tested positive for drugs in the UFC, so I'm going to go to WWE where they amend their little policy so I can get by and still make $12 million, go home to Sable, and yada, yada, yada. So screw Brock Lesnar, I'm done. There's my rant.
All right, so you like the ending of the match.
Not even going to dignify that with a response. I turned the TV off and I went to bed.
All right. So I liked it. I will now defend Brock Lesnar for a sec. Feel free to jump in.
I'm going to mute your mic right now.
3, 2, 1. All right. Well, here's kind of the deal. If Brock Lesnar is not officially returning to UFC, which that's the story now. He's not, for whatever reason. I'm sure you can... make your own assumptions of why.
I'm just going to be a good little boy because my mama told me if I can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. So
true that.
You go right on.
All right. So I will say in a small defense, if he wasn't doing UFC, he was already advertised for Super Showdown. So he was already going to be back. Now, nobody predicted this, obviously, and to take away from whoever's moment, if you want to say that. But he was coming back regardless. We already knew he was coming back, correct?
Yeah, we knew it, but why? I mean, after such a great match with such high spots and such amazing talent being showcased,
a lot of great guys.
Why blow it? And then you, like you said, you don't like having a briefcase not being out there after it's been won. You like to see a briefcase run around because there's always that in the corner of your mind. Yeah. So why blow it right away on such a piece of garbage like Brock Lesnar? I know, you've been called garbage before, blah, blah, blah. I'm not lumping you in the same thing because I respect you. Brock Lesnar could go fall off the face of the earth for all I care.
You can go fight a cactus, right?
He can go bury his head in the moon. Shoot him into space with no astronaut suit.
Hey, he does the shooting star press so well, remember? So
he can do that again, and this time land on his head.
Whoa, oh boy, we're wishing harm on him now.
I know.
Let's not start doing that now.
Okay, all right, I take that one back.
All right. Well, I will say...
Darn human souls and ethics and crap.
I will say...
Screw you, Brock Lesnar.
I'm kind of more curious. I'd like to kind of figure out a little bit more because there was a story that Ali was told he was going to win earlier in the day. And then there was a story that, no, he was told when you get up to the top, quote unquote, somebody is going to interfere. Everyone in the match was apparently assuming it would be Braun.
Right.
So, but they weren't told because obviously that's to keep the surprise because
right.
Brock apparently is always hidden backstage and, it's always a hush-hush deal with Brock. But then again, Heyman the next night came out and mocked that. Like, how the heck do you sneak Brock Lesnar in a building? Like, somebody's going to see him. So I'm not sure about that part. And then apparently the last part of the report...
Egotistical, don't you think? Think everybody's looking for him? No, he's an idiot. Well, screw him.
I know, Dudley's and everyone's kind of kept hidden. So, regardless of who's returning, I do like the idea of keeping him hidden.
Right.
So I will say the last part of the report said, no, Ali specifically was told... it's going to be Brock at the end coming out. So,
I heard Ali was the only one who knew and that he found out as he was going out.
Yeah.
I heard that the rest of the field had been told that McIntyre was going to win.
Ooh.
That's what I had read.
I wonder how McIntyre feels about that.
Again, great talent. Screw him.
It's kind of like the Rumble.
Lesnar.
Yeah, give it to Lesnar. It's kind of like the Rumble where, if you're eliminated 1 through 20,
right.
I mean, honestly, I don't want to say you don't have a right, but you're not involved with the finish, so you don't need to be told what to do.
Exactly.
Do your thing and be eliminated at 20.
Know your spots and
so
listen to the refs.
If it was just going to be Ali and Brock interacting, then I understand why it was only Ali. But, that makes it, I guess, a little bit better. And I will say Brock was on Raw, and if he's going to be on next week, that's somewhat regular. Again, no UFC, so there's no need to keep him healthy. So I will say that's 2 weeks in a row. And then after that, the next Friday is Super Showdown, which I don't think he's going to beat Rollins. So everyone's scared he's going to get the title again and hold it hostage. No. So that's somewhat of a regular schedule because that's the big knock on him. So what do you say about if he did return somewhat regularly?
I'm not gonna know. I'm gonna be down here. I got a tune. I got a song working in my brain. A friend of mine and I were talking about redoing an old song that we used to do way back. So I think at least this week I'm gonna be down here. I'm not watching it. Screw Brock Lesnar. I have WWE's not getting my ratings for a while now. I've been disillusioned for a little bit ever since WrestleMania. They kind of tanked with the superstar shakeup and all that stuff.
Wild card rule
was garbage. I need a break.
And another defense, I know you don't want to hear anymore, but think of his last few matches. Daniel Bryan, awesome. AJ Styles, awesome. Finn Balor, awesome. Rollins, even though it wasn't, kind of a match at Mania, but awesome. And now if they have time at Super Showdown, I'm sure it'll be awesome. So Brock is delivering out there.
Is he, or is he just being carried by the wealth of talent that he's stepping on every time he walks into the place?
I've always told it takes two to tango, so I never really, I get it. Some people, like Becky obviously helped.
I can refute that with two words, Great Khali.
Hey, Khali versus Cena at, I believe, Judgment Day was a great match in 2007. The crowd was rabid hot. For whatever reason, they were nuts for every move.
Right. Well, and Triple H and him had great matches because of the veteran talent he was in there with.
And I'll also, I guess, mention Becky Lynch and Alicia Fox had a classic a few weeks ago. They had a great match.
Again, carried by the wealth of talent.
So, I think Rollins and Lesnar could actually do something. And, if it takes, say, Kerry, if I get in there with Rollins, it's not probably going to be so good. So
Rollins could have a match with a spaghetti noodle and make it look good.
Right, me. So I'm just saying, they say a broomstick.
I'd actually pay to see that.
I'm not sure I would. That'd be
in fact, I would pay. Yeah, let's do this.
Hey,
let's make this happen.
If Saudi
I
Arabia,
will stay as far away from that match.
Who would you bring, Crazy Case or Fusion?
I was gonna say whoever, if Saudi Arabia wants to pay me, hey, they can buy me off. I have no shame there. So, any closing thoughts on Money in the Bank, Holly?
No.
Okay, Mr. Steve.
I think I've made my point painfully clear.
Yeah, we're gonna
screw Brock Lesnar. That's all I'm saying.
All right, well, screw Brock Lesnar, but first we do need to get some plugs in. We can't forget about that. You are listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the one and only 411 Podcasting Network. You know where to find us. Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, 411mania.com, the website, all those great places. Subscribe, rate, review, 5 stars. You know all about it. Steve Madsen, the Resident Complex.
The Resonant Complex. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, anywhere you can buy digital music. You can find our debut album, North Avenue, out now for your listening pleasure. Go check it out.
Miss Holly, before getting on to our next topic, do you have anything that you would like to plug?
Hi.
I will say Holly is always a great topic of discussion in my 411mania.com columns. The readers and listeners love you. So
aww, you got a fan base.
Or I'm his right hand usually.
Well, that's a different topic for a different night. But I will
whole nother podcast.
This is PG here. So I will say, continuing with the disillusioned word that you used, the following night, Mick Foley came out and introduced a brand new title.
Yeah, I read about it.
That is true.
It looked kind of silly, but
I think a lot of people were getting their hopes up for the hardcore title, the way Mick Foley was name-dropping 24/7 and doing the little wink and kind of getting everyone excited. And then he pulled out this, green. Was that even a title belt? It looked like a toy.
It looked like a toy, didn't it? It looked like what Braun won that we've never seen again.
Yeah, the greatest Royal Rumble title.
Yeah, something like that.
It was that color. But anyways, I think we can all agree the design looked pretty terrible, and the big 24/7 just, I don't know. They couldn't have spent a lot of time on that.
From what I read is that it was not Vince's idea. Apparently, USA has been begging for months now about the declining ratings, and they want to do something, and they keep submitting ideas. And from what I read, insider people were saying that most of the ideas that were submitted were horrible.
So
this Vince knew he had to use one of them, and this was like the you take a pile of turds, you find the shiniest one, and hope it works.
I forgot the stat. It's something like 95 or like 97% of Raws since July 2012, when they went to 3 hours, the third hour had dropped. So 95, 97%. That's ridiculous. So that basically means of the 52 during a year, maybe one wouldn't have dropped in the third hour.
Right, and that third hour was what they were really banking on, because when Austin and Rock were in, that was like one of their biggest rated hours.
Yeah, the third hour, it used to be 2 hours, but the overrun 2 hours, which they also lost the overrun, those used to be the highest, because not only did you know it'd be a main event, a brawl, something big, a return,
major was going to happen.
JR screaming about something, but people forget about this, but then it would be, well, you'll see him Saturday night.
I will.
But it would also then be, people forget about this, but then people tuning in for the show after, and then you'd have the overrun on, so then those viewers are also turning on USA.
Right, they get a little snippet off of that, too.
So, whatever show was on at 10, whether it was CSI or NCIS or whatever,
Modern Family,
whatever show they had, those viewers then also added on to the Raw overrun.
Right.
So that's why it was just always the biggest and best. But they don't. So Mick Foley mentioned that this could only be, the third hour. But then, of course, R-Truth brought it to SmackDown, and it's defended everywhere. Rockstar Spud, who's now Drake Maverick, is driving around and I think doing some pretty funny skits. So I'll give him that. He's leaving like wanted posters on everyone's car.
I did catch a couple of snippets on the internet of that.
So, he's making it something, but basically it's a hardcore title without hardcore. 24/7. You can defend it anywhere, whether you're on the golf course.
Because you can't be hardcore in the PG era.
Certain extent. But yeah, you can defend it at a golf course, backstage, whether you're sleeping in bed somewhere, as long as you have a referee with you, which don't these refs have a live? They get dragged around by guys.
But they're not employees. Or are the refs employees?
Oh, boy. Well, we're not going to touch on that.
Gray area.
But Titus O'Neil was the inaugural champion. So for everyone looking for a stat, Titus O'Neil was the first 24/7 champ for about 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yep.
Mr. Robert Roode Mustache.
Robert Roode.
He won it, and then, of course, he ran around. A bunch of goons chased after him, and then R-Truth protected him in the car, and nope. Fake out, because he rolled him up and then left. And as he was leaving, R-Truth, because, he's a goof, said he was going to bring the European
title. I read that, yeah. Good for him.
European title. Still funny. I find his stuff, I know it's still silly humor, but I still laugh when R-Truth says stupid stuff.
I love it. I love it when he shows up on the wrong show or something. Or this one's on me.
Yeah, my bad.
My bad.
Royal Rumble, he came up and climbed a ladder. And then
Whoops.
Nothing was up there.
Yeah, R-Truth is great.
R-Truth, Vince, I know, loves him. That's why he's...
Oh, really?
Yeah, Vince is a big fan of him and that...
Good.
That humor, whatever you want to call it.
Dude, he's earned that. I mean, he's been in the business for so long. He deserves a nice spot.
And that's why R-Truth is kind of allowed to kind of go out and do his own thing.
Be R-Truth.
Be R-Truth, pretty much. Do the album, and Vince doesn't...
He's got a killer rap style.
Does he?
I've heard, like, the way that he projects his voice on some of his songs. He's got a pretty, like, killer voice for the rapping.
Yeah, so him and Vince are close. That's why he's 100 years old and still on the road. He should come to the lab. Bring him in. So then
bring the title with.
Oh,
jeez.
I was a ref once.
I was going to say, do we know any referees here? I don't know. So I'm glad he's the champ. Vince loves him, but I'm not sure I entirely trust Carmella.
Well, who would?
Whoa.
Staten Island, I mean.
Hey, Corey Graves might hear that.
I doubt it. No offense, buddy, but I highly doubt anybody of note really listens to.
I think he also has been like, I think he's quit like social media like 10 times, and then always comes back. And even now, Renee Young had kind of said she's done with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really the internet is a terrible place.
My feeling is, almost Renee Young knows John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, is ready to do something, and she doesn't want to be online at that time.
Right, because that's all they're going to be asking.
Right, so she may already have planted the seeds for her being far away from social media,
right?
Not wanting to deal with any of that. But I will defend the 24/7 title in a little bit. But Holly, what are your thoughts on
it? It is kind of ridiculous because how are you going to be able to defend it 24/7?
Right.
Well, you can't. That's kind of the point. Is there's just no way.
You just never know. That's the whole. It's unpredictability that they're hoping to keep you watching.
But
then you not get any sleep. You're not getting your training
done.
Was
when they did this originally with the hardcore title. That was the big thing. Was that he comes out to the ring. He's like, I can't do this. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and I think it was Gerald Briscoe who
beat him.
Crash Holly was taking a nap in back, and then Gerald Briscoe came up and put a finger on his chest, and the ref was
1, 2, 3.
And then Briscoe won the title, and then silently was throwing his arms in the air not to.
Didn't Pat Patterson do a run-in then?
I think they had an evening gown feud at King of the Ring for the hardcore title.
That's right.
Everyone loves the Attitude Era. That's what you got. But anyways, then as Briscoe when Briscoe and the ref were leaving, they tripped over something, made noise. Then Crash Holly got up and was like, wait, what? And then the chase was on, and, that silly nonsense. But
and then the Headbangers chased Crash Holly through a fun park.
Oh, yeah, the mosh pit.
Into the ball pit.
Yeah, I like the little play on the mosh pit,
ball pit. That was good.
So, that stuff can be fun, but here's my defense of it. Yeah, the title design sucks. So if you want to say it looks horrible, it looks horrible. No defense there.
Which is funny because, the North American title is similar, but that just looks so much better.
Well, it's NXT.
Anything NXT does is better.
And, yeah, again, not to defend it, but the hardcore title looked like garbage, but it was supposed to look like garbage. It was supposed to kind of be hardcore. Though.
Yeah. Well,
but I think this is kind of supposed to be legitimate title, but I'm not entirely sure. But here's my small defense. As we already mentioned, Titus O'Neil, Robert Roode, Drake Maverick, EC3 got on. I've been looking for him. So all these guys now are doing something. Even Carmella, she's probably not going to be in the title picture. So what is she going to do? Well, now she has something to do. R-Truth. In extremely, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words, incredibly talented, great guy, everything, but he wasn't doing anything.
Right.
He was doing absolutely nothing. Well, now he's got this title, and guess what? It probably means 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of, TV time. So all these guys that we keep asking, where's this guy? I don't really care for the B team, but they were on. So it's like, here's these guys. They're finally doing something, and yeah, the title is a joke or not a joke, but to them, it's not a joke because it means TV time. It means another payday. It means all these things. So it may be a joke on the outside, but to them, I'm sure, I almost guarantee right now, they're all submitting ideas. They're all saying, hey, let's do this. Hey, can I do this? And Drake Maverick's already running with it, which I love.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it gives a spotlight. It is an interesting concept. It's just a matter of how they execute it.
Yeah.
Are they going to bungle it like they do everything else?
Yeah. I mean, I could argue it was bungled 5 seconds after Foley's promo, and the crowd completely took a dump on it. But the unpredictability factor, like we mentioned, the third hour, it's just ridiculous. It didn't matter who was in the main event. People were tuning out for the final hour. And, I don't know if it's been reported.
Like me, I always fall asleep in
the
third hour.
Well, right. And this goes back to the 3-hour show. I mean, even any sporting event, once it kind of gets to 3 hours in the ninth inning of a game, whether it goes to extras or not, people
get tired.
People leave.
Yeah.
People head out. It's like, no.
Beat the traffic.
Yeah, I invested 3 hours into this, and if it's going to extra innings, it's not going to happen. So,
right.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think it's been reported, but something tells me this may be a Bruce Pritchard idea, but I will wait on that. So, any closing thoughts on the 24/7 title?
Good luck.
Good luck working it, and
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. Mick Foley, kind of died a horrible death out there. And
aren't you a Mick Foley hater?
Me. I'm a big Mick Foley fan.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was called that in my column a few weeks ago because I said after Stone Cold won the title in 1998, I said he went from Mike Tyson, WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, McMahon to Dude Love. And everyone kind of was like, how dare you? It was a great feud, and Mick Foley's a legend. And I'm like, I said, first of all, almost all my memorabilia and signed stuff as a kid, it's Mick Foley.
Okay.
I said, growing up, everything I ever have as a fan and all that is Mick Foley. instead of Dixie Carter, one of the few people that I still go out to representative for an interview is Mick Foley.
Oh.
So all these things about it, and yes, I got a maybe once, and then that was dumped on. But it was I think right before he went to TNA, they said, well, we'll talk about it after this date.
Right.
And I think it was right after his either non-compete or something. And then that was pretty much him telling me he's going to TNA.
Yeah.
So that was like a month or two before. So it was kind of a shock when he left the commentary booth to go there, but I'd already kind of had that little.
Well, I will never make that mistake again. I know. I thought I saw you like dumping on him for something or other. Maybe it was his charity thing or something like that.
No, and well, you mention it. I don't like.
Or the Sacco thing or.
I don't like to talk about it, but one of his charities is one of the ones I donate to.
Oh, okay.
So
never mind.
I think
I
the
guess
thing
I'm just lost.
I think the one criticism I had of him recently was when he came out for the cruiserweights.
Right.
When they debuted on Raw, he literally.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He had the cue card, and basically was like, "And up next," and then he'd introduce them one by one, and this was the big introduction of the cruiserweights to Raw in 2016. I think after the Cruiserweight Classic.
Right.
It's the show that TJ Perkins wasn't even on, the new champ,
the new champ, right.
Whatever sense that made. And Mick Foley basically came out with a cue card, unenthusiastic. He was, I think, the Raw general manager at the time. I think he was something. And it was just like the worst way possible to introduce the cruiserweights. And all of them just kind of came out one by one and like waved, and it was like, this is the introduction.
Yeah, I remember that now. It was lackluster.
And then I think they changed the ropes for it.
Yes, they always were changing the ropes.
They slowly, now the cruiserweights obviously are on their own show, and they've kind of got it revamped a little bit. But that was my criticism of Foley. But I was saying that promo was on him. This one was not. This was just a 24/7. That wasn't his fault. Foley later on said, he could have said no to coming in, but he thinks it'll catch on, and I'm not sure if it will or not, but we talked about this before. I mean, the Universal title got dumped on when it was red. And
when it first came out, yeah.
So you know what? Let's just give this a chance. I know people don't like to hear give it a chance, but initially I get it, but it gets all these guys some screen time, so it works for me.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Or you guys can. I'll watch it. I'll read about it.
Speaking of giving a shot, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday night, AEW.
Here they go. They're kicking it off, and they're going strong.
Here we go. I'm not going to run down the full card because, if I'm honest, I don't really know it or care to Google it or anything, but
yeah,
I know enough about a few matches.
We know that Jericho and Omega are the headliner.
I was going to say Jericho, Omega, and this little stipulation was added.
Yep, I heard about that.
Okay, the winner of this and the winner of the Battle Royal earlier will face for the AEW Championship probably in a few months.
Yeah, at a later date.
So who do you think will win, Omega or Jericho?
I want to say Omega because I am a huge Kenny Omega fan. Every match, I haven't seen a whole lot of Kenny Omega's work, but every single match or highlight that I catch, that dude is just an insane worker. I'm compelled just even the few minutes I get to watch him.
Okay, my totally uninformed opinion, meaning nothing of AEW, I was going to say Jericho will win.
I could see them giving it to Jericho just for like the star power type thing, but I think if you want to establish that legacy, and we all knew that Kenny Omega was going to be like AEW's golden boy for at least the beginning. I mean, when they brought him in, the way they brought him in, we all knew he was going after the Japan contract and all that stuff. So I think that Kenny is going to be the inaugural champion.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it, but here's why I'm going to go with Jericho. I believe Kenny Omega won their first match, correct? New Japan? I believe it was last January.
Wasn't it on the cruise?
I could be wrong about. No, that was like a 6-man tag or something, but I think it was whatever the New Japan show is in January each year.
Yeah,
Wrestle Kingdom.
Wrestle Kingdom, yeah.
I believe Kenny Omega won. It was like a street fight type thing. They brawled everywhere.
Okay.
And if they're going to continue it, that would tell me then Jericho's going to win the next one,
right,
to keep it even.
50-50.
Yeah, which,
But I think in starting off this new promotion and, you're looking to establish a high-level champion for your first guy and give it a legacy and something to start off strong, I think Kenny's the way to go. He's going to be the guy for that. It's going to be Omega and Cody Rhodes going down the line, or Cody, or whatever you want to call it. Those are going to be the two bright stars in that company for at least a year.
Yeah, I was going to say the other reason that I will say Jericho is, the star power. And obviously no disrespect or anything, Kenny Omega. But, Jericho is obviously the bigger name. People know him.
In the States, absolutely.
And obviously going back to Turner and all that whole big thing coming up, that would kind of...
You think that'd be a little snippet in there? Is he came from WCW and now returns to Georgia?
Yeah, something like that. And by the way, I just looked up. Kenny Omega defeated Jericho in 35 minutes.
Oh, so classic.
Yeah, in January 2008.
Do you ever catch blips of that Omega and Okada 4 when he finally won the heavyweight title?
I have not. Is that the match I got like 14 stars or something?
Yeah, I caught highlights of it, and it was like a half-hour long highlight reel.
Actually, you know what? I may have watched one of those.
That was just incredible. I mean, I was compelled the entire way. I'm like, go, man, go!
And I remember watching Jericho Omega because somebody had asked me to watch it and then write a review about it because obviously I don't really watch New Japan too much.
Right.
And I watched it and, wrote about it. So that's why I remember seeing that. So I have seen that. And that may have been the only Kenny Omega match I've ever seen. But like you said, I think I might have seen one of those two.
Yeah, I caught All In when he faced Pentagon Jr. or Penta El Cerro. I forget. He's got so many names. But an awesome luchador from AAA or Lucha Underground, and then he went to TNA, did their Impact, and did
Pentagon or Phoenix? Is that who you're thinking?
Yeah, Pentagon and Phoenix are the Lucha Brothers, and they are now currently, I believe, hold the Bucks hold. They're fighting for the AAA tag titles tomorrow against the Bucks.
Penta L0M, is that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he took on Kenny Omega at All In, and that was incredible. Just an amazing. Both of those guys. Yeah. Insane the stuff that they do. I can't believe people don't get hurt. It just looks so good.
I really got to watch All In one of these times.
I have it on the DVR. I should stick around one time.
Oh man.
I saved it all this time because I thought it would be a cool thing to have.
At least before All In 2,
right.
Which I think is August, September, somewhere in there. I think it's Labor Day weekend. Whatever it is. But I'm going to actually say Jericho wins. I don't really have a reason. Again, I really don't know much about this. But I would say Jericho almost for star power.
Right.
But I will,
notoriety.
I will say they had not been mentioned on TNT because I would have it on for the NBA playoffs.
Right.
But they did the last night during the Bucks and Raptors game.
I saw a blip of that, yeah.
And unfortunately... Jericho's name was butchered.
Was it really? Oh yeah, I heard that. How can you mispronounce? How'd they do it? Because I wasn't watching. I'm afraid that I'm cursed and I'm causing the Bucks to lose.
Dang it! What was it? It was Jericho.
Really?
Chris Jericho.
My land.
And it was, I think, Marv Albert, who was obviously one of the top sports announcers.
When he's not biting people.
Hey, what he does in his personal time is his business. But I would say a quick little hit to probably Jericho's ego, I would say, right off the bat.
Right.
That, Mr. Household Name and all these things he likes to say. And I would also...
Maybe they told Marv to butcher it on purpose.
Oh, yeah. Just to rub it in on him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Another promo. Come in and run him down. But I will say super cool. TNT, as we've talked about, same with Fox and SmackDown. TNT is, no pun intended, all in with AEW.
Right.
So it is nice that they got the plug in now before Double or Nothing. So like I said, I'd been watching, I'd been waiting TNT all these weeks or since the announcement, and there's been nothing. But they got the announcement in, and yes, they showed a promo for Jericho and Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
And I think then they mentioned the other guys, I think Young Bucks and stuff. So that was cool. So I'm going to say Jericho wins. Again, this is setting up a match for the title against who wins the Battle Royal, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So up next, I think obviously the bigger high-profile match, Cody
and Dustin. Now is Dustin going with just Dustin?
Well, it says Dustin Rhodes. I don't think there's any legal or anything that really matters with him doing it.
Really? So WWE is allowing Dustin to keep the Rhodes name.
I think the issue is that is his name.
No, his name is Runnels. Runnels is his real name.
Is it? Okay, because I always thought...
Because Dusty Rhodes' real name was Virgil Runnel. Okay. And Terry Runnels, you remember.
Yeah, like everyone got upset, like, oh, Cody Rhodes couldn't use his name. That's his real name. It's like, no.
Because when WCW got bought by WWE, Rhodes was a trademark from Turner, and they bought that. So the Rhodes name is technically WWE's.
Yeah, it's weird how that works.
Could see a cease and desist in the future, really.
Oh boy.
If they haven't caught on.
If they haven't yet, I'm sure they're sending a million things. Yeah, I'm looking it up. It says Dustin Runnels. Yeah, it is kind of weird about that, but I'm guessing they just care about Goldust. They don't really care.
Yeah, they probably don't. Yeah, because Dustin Rhodes was what he was before in WCW, the Natural.
Yeah, so did you have a pick for this one?
I think Cody's going to do it just because, even though we like to say that Dustin, Goldust, whatever, is the Benjamin Button of professional wrestling, the older he got, the better he seemed to get for a little while there. I even had a tag team title run with Cody just before with the Shield and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was good.
But he's definitely up there and has made note that like this is going to be his kind of swan song match, and then he's going to transition into a backstage role with AEW.
Yeah, I was going to say Dean Malenko is officially brought on.
Really?
That was expected.
Whoa.
Right when he left there, that was kind of the story.
That's good. That's a good get.
I'm surprised there's no non-compete, but maybe they don't for agents, and it's just kind of like as long as you don't appear on camera.
Could be an on-screen thing, yeah.
But I'm going to guess Dustin does that. I don't think he'll get the shock win and then kind of have a little run. I don't think that's...
No, I think they're like, again, they want to start off strong. They want to make all their premier talent look like viable threats every time they're on screen. So they're going to give Cody and I think Kenny Omega, the top of the line. I mean, Chris Jericho is a viable threat and he is signed in for that company, for a while, but I think that they're going to start off strong and give it to Cody definitely.
Yeah, I know the name value is probably going to be tempting to put Dustin Rhodes on TNT and all that stuff, but I'm not sure it's really worth it because it's just not.
I think Cody has made more of a name in recent future.
I would go with Cody if we're doing that. And yeah, there's really no reason Dustin Rhodes should defeat Cody here. There's not really a reason. They can tell whatever story they want. I'm not really going to care. Before getting to the Battle Royal, what did you think of the whole Pac situation with now the match being off?
From what I read, I get it, but then why enter into even the discussions if you know that that's a possibility? Like, yeah,
this is one of the things they say you should never book a pay-per-view match unless you know the finish.
Exactly.
So, at that point they should have said, well, are you okay with losing or winning, or what's your situation with Dragon Gate?
Before you start advertising this stuff, you need to iron these things out.
Especially a week before. There is a story that it's Visa related.
Okay.
But then that makes me wonder, well, then who leaked this story? Who's going to make this look so bad and messy and complicated?
I mean, I like I said, I get it because you're a champion and you don't want to look weak. You're meant to represent a company. It's just like if I would go to a customer of mine and act like a complete jerk. Well, are they gonna send me business? More likely than not, probably not.
Probably not.
So I mean, you don't want to go to another company and lose and make your promotion look bad. I get that, but at the same time, like you said, then why advertising, enter into all these discussions if all of a sudden now it's a problem,
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that Cody and Young Bucks are going to be the top guys. I will say this right now. It's probably not going to be them. Hangman Page right now is who they actually want to be their star. So
he's definitely the bright, shining future of the company. I think to establish the legacy, they're going to go with their veterans, but Hangman's going to be the guy that shines and the ultimate
I could
run.
almost see like an Evolution where, the Evolution group where they had their guy, and all along it was to groom Randy Orton
and Batista even.
Batista, yeah. So Hangman Page will get it, whether he wins this time or not, or perhaps enters the Battle Royal or something
That's a possibility.
So regardless of what they end up doing with him, I will say
that might also influence who I would pick to win the final match too. Whoever wins the Battle Royal, because if Page wins the Battle Royal, then I could see him and Jericho having just an all-out classic.
And there you go. So I will quickly add in that
don't mess with the Bullet Club.
No, never. I think the thing with AEW being so fan friendly and the guys creative and all this. Well, this was their first big hiccup because now we're seeing it with Pac.
Right.
Well, maybe this whole freedom thing, now you understand where WWE is like, no, you can't work elsewhere. No, you work for us.
Right.
Independent contractor or not, who cares? You can kind of see where it's coming. You can't just go out anywhere and then come back and say, well, I'm not losing. I'm working here.
Right.
Well, then what are you going to do with them? Now Pac's not advertised even for the next summer show for AEW.
Well, because maybe he screwed that up, maybe by refusing to be flexible. And, they could have even worked something out where they had some type of schmaz win or, some type of dusty finish. And he still would have looked strong. You got to work with him. That's the whole point of being in that type of society that they're promoting.
Yeah, it's such a mess because, then you deliver a non-finish.
Right.
Nobody's going to like that.
Right.
And then it's like, well, then what do you do in the rematch? Then does he win that one too? Well, then he should have just won right away. Or does
Paige
he lose?
could have gone to Dragon Gate and, they could have cross-promoted and everybody comes out a winner.
Right, but I think AEW is eventually going to go to exclusive. I think right now they're kind of letting guys go just to kind of bring them in.
Right.
And then in a year or so, they'll be like, well, guess what? It's
kind of
like
we're locking you in now.
It's like the NXT UK. You could do your own thing. And
now you can't.
And now, yeah.
And now you're done.
And now here's the pay raise, sign the deal.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting, but I will say, to me, I've been all AEW. I've been all positive, but right away, that right there was a big red flag. So I hope everyone's not entirely buddy-buddy because this whole owner's hanging out in private jets with Cody and Young Bucks.
Right.
At some point, that's going to break, and TNT is going to get involved. So it's all rainbows and sunshine now, and Pac is...
Sunshine, happiness, and rainbows.
That's what song is playing in them as the world is burning around.
Right. This is fine.
So it's too bad this happened, 2, 3 days, 4 days, whatever it was before. I hope it was just Visa, but even that should be cleared and set up.
That should be something that you work out, right?
You got to have that set up, and now especially now, like, say, Lucha, like, what if they have a Visa issue right before the show? Then their match is off. So part of me hopes that it is
Part
Visa.
of me wants to make an immigration joke, but we just won't.
We will not do that. But part of me hopes that is the issue, but then another part is, well, then that's incompetence. Either it's Pac's fault or you guys don't have your ducks in a row.
Right.
And that will come with growing pains, which we've talked about. Hopefully they figure this out. I'm not going to hold too much against them this Saturday.
There's always going to be bumps in the road.
There'll be bumps in the road, but hopefully after this Saturday, then for next All In 2, they have everything kind of figured out, especially when they're going live on TNT.
Right, right.
You can't still be futzing around and figuring, hey, what do we do this and what are the contracts? And they'll have to figure that out. But long rambling aside, between Jericho and Omega, we still have to figure out the other side of the championship match.
Well, do you want to talk about the Young Bucks?
If you want to talk about the Young Bucks, Lucha, go ahead, Lucha Brothers. Lucha Bros.
I'm actually gonna say that the Lucha Brothers are gonna win so that they can take that title back to AAA and have a thing there. Because Young Bucks, I don't know. But I kind of see the Lucha Brothers taking that one, even though I'm a huge fan of the Young Bucks. I've loved everything that I've ever seen them do. Like Randy Orton said, it's a bunch of gymnastics matches, but it's entertaining and it's fun to watch. And I used to tune into Ring of Honor just to watch the Young Bucks. So I think that's going to be a classic match, but I do see Lucha taking that.
I think it's going to come down to, if they're going to work with AAA. If AEW eventually, which I assume by fall, they'll want exclusive stuff. They're not going to want everyone elsewhere risking injury, risking dates. Like, hey, we need you Tuesday. Well, I'm in Mexico.
Right.
Well, okay,
Well, Ring of Honor and New Japan seem to work it out, though.
They work it out, but they're also not going to be live 2 hours every week on
That's
primetime
true.
TNT.
That's a good point.
AEW, remember, shooting for the moon. They're not working with independent companies.
Right.
They're dealing big time here. So I don't know much about this match. I know Lucha Brothers are still kind of sort of involved with TNA, but they may have finished up.
I don't know what the status of that is.
Yeah, I think they either lost the last tag titles and kind of had the little curtain call moment, so they may have kind of like did their bow out. So maybe they're finishing up. But this goes back to if they're going to be sounding exclusive. If they're exclusive, I would probably have them as the tag team champions.
Right.
And I would hopefully not have Young Bucks and Cody flaunting around with all the titles and saying, yeah, we run the company, now we're the champions.
That's also kind of the reason why I think that Lucha Brothers are going to take that, just because you got, I think Kenny's going to be the first world champion, so they're going to get their titles eventually. It's just a matter of...
It's going to be tough, but if Cody wins, Young Bucks win the tag titles, and then Kenny Omega's a champ, a lot of people are immediately going to look at that and go, really?
Yeah.
And then if Tony Khan, he says he won't be on screen, which... I'm glad. Good. Stay off. We don't need authority figures. We're done with that. But, if then Tony Khan shows up and then it's just like, oh, this is what we all feared. We don't want that. So I'm hoping, because Cody had mentioned this, he's aware of this. He's aware of, he's booking the company. I don't like the word booking, but he's running the company, executive. So he's aware of it. So I hope then he follows through with it.
Yeah.
And he said he's even turned down things in the past that were too self-serving. So, I mean, beating Dustin Rhodes, nobody's going to complain.
Right, exactly.
But all the titles.
Kind of foregone.
Yeah, and Young Bucks and all that. So, did you want to talk about the Battle Royal now?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Who's
Ty Dillinger?
I was gonna say.
I'm sorry. What's his name? No, I don't remember what his name is.
Shawn Spears.
Shawn Spears.
His actual. Yeah. I was gonna say him. I mean, I think Billy Gunn is in there. A few other guys.
Billy Gunn.
Jungle Boy. I'm trying.
Yeah, isn't that? He's the son of somebody that just passed away.
Luke Perry.
Yes, that's right. That's what it was.
I mean, a lot of guys are in here. I'm not going to list them off, but I think there's like 4 or 5 spots, and then it's something like a lucky 21 is the final entrant.
Okay.
So it's 21 man, and then they're saying lucky 21. The Vegas 21.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's the pun there. So everyone's thinking, is that the Jon Moxley tease with the poker?
It could be. I mean,
and then think about it.
That's going to be the spot to bring somebody out.
Jericho Moxley.
Ooh.
Jericho. CM Punk. That's why I'm thinking Punk. But
really, you think Punk's actually going to do it? You think he's going to do it?
No, I'm thinking Jericho is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
I know nothing. So either way, regardless.
Wait, this is intriguing. What do you know?
I know nothing. Remember, I don't know anyone training with them. I don't know anything about Milwaukee. But anyways,
oh boy.
Regardless of what happens, I think they're all giddy about the pay-per-view. They've even been quoted. Everyone is saying this is going to be the single greatest pay-per-view of all time. Obviously, that's hype and them, wanting the pay-per-view.
That's bold statement.
For $50, they're going to say it's the greatest of all time.
Right,
even
right.
Jericho just commented a few minutes ago about saying it's going to be the match of a lifetime versus Omega. But again, he's going to say that. What's he going to say? This is going to be a stinker? No,
right,
he's going to say it's great. And yes, Khan and everyone has pretty much repeated the line. It's going to be the greatest wrestling pay-per-view of all time.
Okay.
I mean, that tells you they have something.
They definitely have something. I mean, boy, that's making me. Your little Punk comment. I think I might throw down the 50 now.
I would not.
I still might, just because I'm intrigued.
No, I seriously stumbled over my words there. I'm not.
Yep. Start the fire. Start the rumors. Let's go.
I'm not starting any rumors. I will be watching the Bucks.
He's going to edit this part of the podcast out.
I don't edit. There's actually been a few columns that by the time it was posted have been out of date.
Yeah.
And I've been asked, you're going to look foolish here. You don't want to edit it or delete it or write a new one. I said, no, post it. I wrote it. You know, I'm not going to now save myself. I wrote it. I look like the idiot, so post it. So
might as well.
I'm not going to edit anything out. I'm not going to do anything.
Going out on his shield.
It's you live by the sword, you don't. But no, I would not pay $50. I know you're excited for it. I know you're pumped. I know you said excited. All In was amazing.
All In was awesome. I loved it.
I still got to watch it, so I'm sure it'll be amazing.
The main event was cut way short. But
yeah, and like I said, I hope they have this kind of timing issues down by now.
Yeah.
And if not All In 2, I guess this one can still kind of be experimental. But even if the app, like maybe the stream breaks, like that would suck.
Right.
So I hope they have all these issues down. You do not want to stumble right out of the gate because people are going to, they're going to judge them for it, fair or unfair.
Right.
So even if I don't necessarily know the card too well, I know most of these names. It seems like it's going to be awesome. It seems the women are going to get time to shine, which is great. And, the surprise or two that may, happen. So... So even if I won't be watching, I'll be watching the Bucks win Game 6 in Toronto. Sorry, Drake. They're going to win.
Screw Drake.
So
get off the court, dude.
I will obviously then probably check out the results later. I'm sure I'll send out some tweets or give my 2 cents. But no, I will not be watching. I don't know if you will be or not.
I haven't quite decided, but I'm leaning towards yes, I will be.
I would say go for it.
So
I
maybe
definitely am not going to be watching.
And Holly woke up. So I will say... I would say go for it, but the $50 price tag.
Yeah, I know. It's a little
in this
expensive,
day and age,
but it throws me back to the day of buying pay-per-views with WWE.
I think they may be going for a little old school. Remember, it's Saturday night. UFC's big Saturday nights.
Right.
So I mean, $50 is tough, but if you're wanting it, if you want to support the company right out of the gate, this is awesome. I would not do $50. I mean, I know you're not.
It'd be kind of nice to poke a little in the WWE side.
I was just gonna say, I know the network's not your thing right now, but that's almost half a year of the network.
And to be fair, the reason
for
why
one show,
the reason why I haven't canceled the network yet is for all that history stuff, the stuff that I used to watch when I was a kid. There's just so much there. It's such a great value. I can't feasibly cut that off.
I think you said, weren't you said you were watching in order old shows?
Every single one from 7, every pay-per-view from WrestleMania 7 to, I think I got up to 2006.
2006. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And that's about when I started watching again, too, because there was a point where I didn't have cable or I couldn't afford cable or I'd catch recaps or whatever. So about 2008 is when I started coming back into it, when you were giving me tapes of Raw.
Yeah, right.
At work.
I always say if you want to support a company, I don't care if it's TNA, if it's ROH, I don't really care what company you watch, but support them. Don't illegally stream. Don't do any of this, stuff like that.
Exactly.
If you want to support them, do it. If you like a guy, buy a shirt. Go for it.
Yep. I mean, I'm wearing a CM Punk shirt.
Exactly. So hey, no comment on that. Not till after Saturday. I'm kidding. So, I would say support it if you want. For me personally, $50 is, in this day and age, you said, old school, that's how much you paid.
Back in the day. But you're right, and that is almost a half a year of network, too. So
I mean, or any subscription, Netflix, Hulu.
Guaranteed when they get some type of deal or whatever with a streaming service, I'll be on that.
Yeah, BR Live, if that's still $50, I mean, they need to.
I mean, if it's exorbitant per month, no, I'm not going to do it. But if they get it down to a competitive price like the WWE Network is, you can bet I'm going to jump on that.
Yeah, so this is me publicly wishing them well Saturday, even if I'm not watching. So I hope they do well. I hope everyone has a great time. I'm hoping it's as good as All In. I hope the momentum then carries to TNT, more plugs on sports and their rated shows. So then they can set up the summer. I know they have a few shows announced. And then that can kind of lead into the big cable thing with their new signing that will maybe be there. So I hope everything goes well. Do you have any closing thoughts on Double or Nothing?
No, I think I'm pulling for him. Like you said, I'm hoping it's going to be a great show, and I'm kind of trying to live in this moment because this is like the precipice. We're on the breaking point here of what could possibly be the greatest era in sports entertainment. I mean, we have a viable company with severe backing, and if they do as well as they claim they're going to, they're going to give WWE a little bit of a run. Maybe not like taking over everything, but it's going to make WWE work, and then maybe it'll be interesting again. Yeah,
I will say another quick criticism. I mean, Cody had kind of taken the comment back, but I think it was either last night or recently. He said the women aren't inflatable two men happy, and everyone immediately went, oh, and then he got crap on Twitter, and he went back and said, Bayley's awesome, but I don't know. To me, it felt like a little jab. He was talking about his women's roster. Well, I say his, but you know what I mean.
AEW's, yeah.
And there wasn't even a reason to mention. Why even say anything like that? And then Dustin Rhodes, or I forgot what he said. He said something about they didn't want the match at WrestleMania. Obviously referring to WWE, but they're doing it in AEW.
Right.
And I kind of hope that. That's one of my other things is, enough with the little shots. I can already see whoever, JR, saying a little comment like, I don't have anyone in my earpiece. It's all good tonight.
Right.
So it's just like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need to trash
Do your
company.
thing. Have an awesome show. Everybody looks good. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to mention this last week. I was emailing with somebody, a independent wrestler who is not in AEW, but he was... Well, he was kind of giving me his thoughts on the TNT move, and I'm glad you mentioned that because he said regardless of which way it goes, whatever direction, he basically said a shift is on the horizon.
Absolutely it is.
A seismic shift is on the horizon is the exact quote he said, with Fox going with SmackDown and TNT going with AEW. And, he said a lot more. But that was the thing that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And he even emphasized the word is. It is coming.
Yeah,
it's
we're on
not
the precipice.
maybe. It's not. Well, it could happen.
Exactly, because if nothing else, it's given the little guys a little bit of hope. Like, hey, this is possible. I mean, Cody and the Young Bucks sold out a 10,000-seat arena in a half hour simply by saying, we're putting on a show. Wasn't affiliated with anybody at the time. They just said, we're going to do this. And in 30 minutes, 10,000 people showed up.
Yeah.
So what that says to me is that, little guys like Ring of Honor, MLW, CZW, all these little guys are going to look at this and be like, it's not impossible. We don't necessarily have to compete with WWE. We just got to get visible. We just got to get looked at, and we can make a decent killing on something.
Right, exactly. And, going back to that, even, I worry it's almost going to be too much WWE. There's a story that Sasha Banks was doing something with WWE video games, so maybe that relationship's better, that she was in New York filming stuff or doing something with them, whatever.
Yeah.
But, like even this story here, JR says Lawler's contract's coming up and he wants him to join into AEW. And it's just like, I get it, legendary duo, but is this just going to turn into Raw from the 90s? And it's just like, no, please no. Can we kind of turn the page?
Right.
We all love Ross and Lawler together, but it was 20 years ago.
Right.
So I just hope so much that...
No puppies.
No. I hope they do their own thing. I keep saying it, but no shots at WWE, no JR and Lawler. I know that would look good on TNT and everyone would click over and be like, oh, that looks great. But I hope they do their own thing. So I'm wishing them well.
Yeah.
I hope it goes great. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but my sister, unfortunately, shout out Elizabeth, I know she's listening. Unfortunately, bad timing, she had said, oh, hey, for a podcast idea, you should talk about wrestler deaths or like which ones affected you or, something, the greats that have, gone. And
I don't know if we can talk about some of these.
No, I mean, and I told her, I said, that'd be a pretty long podcast.
It'd be a long one, and there'd be a lot of like, I don't know if we should talk about that.
No, there'd be some we unfortunately would not talk about, but I only mentioned that because, of course, right after we got off last week, Ashley Massaro, we found out.
Oh, yeah, rest in peace.
So I will say that, not to reveal my age too much, but I kind of sort of grew up with, her. She was one of the girls. And
WrestleMania 24 was the first WrestleMania I saw when I came back to watching wrestling.
Was it 23 she was in?
24. Well, she was in 23, but WrestleMania 24, I remember when Edge was taking on Undertaker, Ric Flair's final match. One of the main matches was Ashley Massaro bringing out Maria for one of her first big spots. And she had a tag team match because Santino was Maria's girlfriend.
Was that with Snoop Dogg?
Yes, yes. But it was the first time I saw Ashley Massaro, and it's that has such a tragic story. 18-year-old daughter.
Yeah, it was sad, and when you find out how she reportedly died,
right?
I mean, to set that up, to do it,
and all the garbage that is going around now after the fact, and she's not there to defend herself or even refute it or give any type of credibility.
I mean, did they even have the funeral yet? And
exactly,
worry about that whenever.
Why bring that stuff up now?
That's the usual stuff. Unfortunately, when someone dies, then they kind of go after a bunch of scavengers. Yeah,
scavengers, indeed.
A bunch of scavengers go after. But I'm only mentioning this because not to reveal it, but I did donate to her GoFundMe for her.
That's very admirable.
For her daughter, I thought it was cool. Everyone got together. I told Holly this, but wrestling's about a lot of things, and you can say it's silly and goofy and make fun of whatever you want.
Right.
But then when something like this happens or whatever, and then you see everyone bond together, you see them pull together.
When wrestlers call each other brother, that actually has a deeper meaning than just a phrase or whatnot. When that's a family, that's a livelihood and a brotherhood, if you will, or sisterhood.
Yeah, and even Gail Kim, she just had her last match for Impact, and she's auctioning off her gear,
her ring gear, right?
And it's very cool that everyone is coming together, and it's already raised over $25,000 for her daughter.
Good for them. That's awesome.
And it's going to a college fund for her to continue her education.
That is so good.
And it's awesome. And cheap plug, but anybody that would like to donate, it's obviously for a good cause. And everybody's come together. There's already been a few legends that have donated, which I don't know if have been reported, so I won't say their names, but a few people have donated. Everyone's sharing it on social media.
Right.
And
another thing, just a quick little, mental health thing, that 24 hours prior to her doing that tweet that she posted, where it appeared that she's real happy. It brings me back to when Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, when he passed away, his wife posted a picture of him 24 hours before that, and saying that mental health is real. So my whole point is, if you are, in that type of situation and you're feeling those types of feelings, reach out to somebody that you trust, because we never can truly know what somebody else is going through. And unless, they reach out, your life is worth something. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to these signs and stuff like that, because it's a tragedy that just shouldn't happen. My 11-year-old daughter actually has a friend that is going through some serious stuff, and thankfully she's in a place where hopefully she can get the help that she needs. But it's just a scary thing, man, because you just never know. So if you're in that position where you have those types of feelings, let's reach out to somebody, because your life is worth something. There's always a reason to keep breathing.
Absolutely. And I think you've said it before. I know CM Punk made a comment on it, but it's just like, it gives you reason to, why can't everyone just be like a tad bit nicer? Because you don't know what someone's thinking. And I mean, Ashley's last tweet was sending fan mail. So,
right. And
she must be doing great.
It looked like she was excited and happy to be doing that.
And I think one of her friends said they were in Vegas waiting on her to come for a girls' trip to Vegas, and then she never showed. So you just never know. And yes, absolutely, reach out. I've sent messages to people of just saying, hey, I'm always here, regardless of what's going on. I don't care.
There's a good buddy of mine, somebody that we knew and he was actually best friends with. He passed away last year. And every now and then I send him a text. Hey, how you doing? Hey, just let you know I'm thinking about you, brother.
Exactly. So best wishes there. And I hope anyone that can donate, Ashley Massaro's daughter, obviously good cause there. So
absolutely.
Not to end it on a somber note, but I just was reminded that my sister had texted me. So I don't know if we could do that podcast at a later date, but it just sucks with the timing with Ashley.
Should we do a Google pool of who we think is going to pass away?
Absolutely not.
That would be morbid as...
That'd be horrible. So Holly shaking her head no.
It's just down notes every week now.
No, she's saying no to that one. But we are going to close it out, unfortunately, with that kind of a bad note. But
we'll play a song to make everybody feel
We'll have a cheerful song. And just a quick, say it again, we're hoping the best for Double or Nothing this Saturday night.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to throw in my cheap plugs here. 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast. You know you're listening to that already. This is on the 411 Podcasting Network. We want you to subscribe, rate, review, do all those amazing things for us. iTunes, Apple, 5 stars. We are looking for 5 stars reviews. Those help us a big amount. So Google, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and yes, 411mania.com. So give us the love, folks. Steve Madsen, the Resonant Complex. Tell us about it.
Hey, the Resonant Complex can be found at theresonantcomplex.com. You can also find us on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play. Anywhere you can buy digital music, you can find our debut album, North Avenue, available now for your listening pleasure.
Speaking of pleasure, Holly, you just woke up. Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye.
All right, let's hear some Resident Complex. Hit it.
Hey.
I can't sleep tonight. The clock mocks me as I try. I don't know why after all these years it still comes back to you. Oh, and everything I put you through. Darkness surrounds me as I close my eyes, and now I'm drowning in every tear you cried.